Hi, and welcome to the Sit Down with Suzanne podcast. I am your girl, Suzanne. This podcast is created with you in mind. Each episode is crafted with the goal of empowering you to be the best version of yourself. Not only am I your host, I am a motivational speaker, I'm a minister, I'm an author, I'm a life coach. I am not afraid to wear a gown and a crown. I laugh out loud. I'm not afraid of making mistakes, and I'm definitely not afraid to teach as I grow. So this week's episode, I'm actually going to be looking at the strong Black woman trope. It is a phrase that I've personally used. It's a phrase that I've come to use quite often, and it's something that I really think that we have to examine. So before we get into all this, I'm hoping that you have caught up on the past episodes of season 3. And if you haven't caught up on season 3, better make sure you're already caught up on season 1 and season 2. So if you follow me on social media, and I'm going to tell you it again, I am Positively Suzanne. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and YouTube. But recently, I posted something personal to me, and I've gotten a few people reaching out and asking me what's going on. So I did say I'm going to explain everything in the podcast. So recently I had surgery. I had not planned on sharing the fact that I had surgery, but people kept reaching out and asking me to do things. Sometimes it was virtual, sometimes it was physical, and I just couldn't do it. They wanted me to be somewhere and I just could not do it. I didn't want to make excuses, but I omitted the truth, and it just felt like I was hiding something. Here was something that I hadn't planned on talking about really, but it just seemed like it was something that I was hiding, like it was something that I had to be ashamed of. So suddenly it seemed like taking care of my health was a sign of weakness. So I was like, no, I am going to just take the power out of this right now. Yes, I did want it to be private, but at this point, because so many folks were just reaching out and asking me to do different things. So I sent a group text to my family member to let them know about the surgery. I told a few friends, and then, I was like, okay, I just don't have the energy to text everybody. So I put it out there on social media, and trust me, everybody knows when you put something on social media, it is a place where it's guaranteed to reach everyone. And trust me, because even though some folks pretend or they never comment on your post, they are watching. So they know what's happening. And, honestly, I didn't have the energy to text or call everyone. I was exhausted. My body was healing. It was expending a lot of energy, and I was falling asleep at odd times. Okay. And not only that, I was taking medication. So even though I'm a private person when it comes to certain things, yeah, I'm on social media, I'm a private person, but I am. When it comes to certain things that I don't want to share, I don't share. And this was information that I really wasn't sharing with everyone, but I felt that sharing this information where everyone could see, my employees could see it, my employers could see it, my peers, my direct reports. It wasn't easy because then I knew that it was going to have questions. And then, it's funny. Everybody's like, what's the surgery about? And I really value those that says, hey, blessings your way, healing your way, and things like that without asking me what the surgery was about. But where did we get this mentality that taking care of our health was a sign of weakness? That somehow you are going to be questioned if you take care of your health. You're going to be questioned if you could do your job. I know history has shown us that society has not been kind to females. Just look at how they treat women who have kids, right? Or when you go on maternity leave, as if somehow when you go on maternity leave and come back, you're less than, you're not the person. Yeah, you're going to have less sleep than you used to. Believe me, anybody who's had a kid knows this. But, now we're at the point where they're fighting for paternity leave. And that's not a subject I'm going to talk about on this episode, but I'm just saying we've come a long way. And I remember as I was talking to the doc and I was scheduling this surgery, and I was already planning of how it was going to impact my work and what I was going to do when I returned. My doctor wanted me to do the surgery in December, but I didn't because I work retail and it's my busiest season. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do this during the holiday season. Let's do it on one of our quietest months, which is in January. And, there were different things going on with my work, and I kept pushing it. And I lost a couple of appointments until finally she was like, okay, you got to get this done. Let's just take care of it. So I made the plans to do the surgery. And, I remember I'm having conversations at work and, I didn't share it with anyone because then I was just going to have to explain it. And it gets to be a lot sometimes to just try to explain everything. And, honestly, I thought that I was just going to go in, do this and be back at work. And I did get a little shock with I had planned to go back at a certain time. And then the doctor sent me the paperwork and she was like, yeah, no, you're not going back. This is the time you're going back. So I was like, oh, okay. So I'm not as invincible as I thought, right? But as I was planning everything with the doctor, I already had plans to what I was going to do on the day of my return, how many emails I was going to answer. I had my day planned, but life is what happens when you make plans, right? And, it's funny. I remember as a young leader, I used to be so proud of the fact that I didn't take any sick days. Yikes. Those days are long over. I am so focused on my health, right? And I still see leaders to this day that have that same mentality, like I've never taken a sick day. And, I shake my head because, honestly, I was there once and I feel bad for them. And if there's somebody that I'm close to, I'll say, listen, that's not actually a good thing. And, if you've read my book about toxic leadership, that is actually a toxic trait. And, for me, back in the day, like just feeling so proud that I never took a sick day, that was just not good. Because think of the message I was sending to my team. If they wanted to take a sick day, well, the boss doesn't take one, so I'm not going to take one. So I am telling you, take your sick days and take care of your health. So yes, I took some time off to take care of my health. And I will encourage anyone that needs time off to take care of their health, do it with haste. Life is short. Make the best of it. I have said, may they rest in peace so much in 2022, and we are still in the first month. So I'm just going to encourage you, do what you got to do to take care of your physical health and take care of your mental health. This pandemic wreaked havoc on the mental state of so many. It doesn't matter who you are, old, young, race, religion, gender, all this. Folks are struggling mentally. Folks are struggling mentally with everything that is going on in the world right now. Depression is at an all-time high. Seek help. Suicides is at an all-time high. And, it's no respecter of person. It's just everyone is impacted. Not even your socially economic class is protecting you. So seek help if you need help for depression. There's a suicide hotline. There's so many different places there's so many different resources. I'm going to encourage you to go out there and seek help and do not be ashamed of it. I love you. There's so many people that love you that's rooting for you. So do what you have to do. So there it is. I took some time off to take care of my health physically, but I'll be back bigger and better as if I could get more fabulous. But anyway, and as I was going through this, and I remember when I decided to just post it on social media, because like I said, folks was reaching out to me and I just was like, it's not half truth. I just was admitting it. And I'm like, I feel like they're thinking, okay, there's more to this story. And then like, people were like, oh, you're not at work? And I'm like, nope, not at work. You're not at work today? Nope, I'm not at work. And they're so used to me either being at work or wherever. So I'm like, just get it out there. There's no story. I'm just taking care of me and just move forward, right? And I started to think back to how long have I been like this, right? And, I don't think I can remember a time that I wasn't expected to be strong. By the way, did I mention that the title of this is called The Strong Black Woman Trope? Yep, I know I did in the first time. I'm just checking to see if you're listening, right? I was expected to be strong as a child. If I showed emotions, I was told to toughen up. One of the ways to insult you is just like, stop acting like a girl. Growing up in Jamaica, I didn't cry. I can't remember many times that I cried. I honestly would have to be hard pressed to remember when I cried. Kids at school were pretty brutal. You just didn't cry. You'd be labeled a crybaby. And I just don't remember crying much during my childhood. And, that's not something to be proud of because you cry. And, it's only in the past few years that I didn't see crying as a sign of weakness in myself. And funny enough, I never saw it as a weakness in others. I only saw it in a weakness in myself. My two best friends are Brazilian and they cry easily and they cried often. And I never judged them. I just expected different from me. I didn't cry. Well, except when I was watching Lifetime movies. There was a time in my 20s that I was obsessed with Lifetime movies. Sunday evenings, I'd be watching Lifetime movies. I'd be crying because, it's all based on a true story. And they didn't listen to their parents. And you know what happens. If you don't know, you don't know. Those of you who are old enough to know, you know. And those of you who are too young, you're just too young and you're not going to get it. But I'm telling you, Lifetime movies used to clean up the tear ducts. Who had made that eye just fluid? Anyway, so like I said, I never judged them, but I always judged myself. I expected different from me. I just didn't cry. Sadly, it was something I was proud of, the fact that I didn't cry. And, as I've gotten older and, I have girls and I'm thinking to myself, I don't want them to think it's a sign of weakness that they don't cry. But then I'm telling them it's okay for them to cry, but then mommy doesn't cry. I'm not saying I'm going around like a big watering pot, but I will admit that I've learned how to cry. How scary is that? That it's in the past couple of years that I've learned how to cry. That is actually something that I'm very proud of. My mom is a strong Black woman. And I think that as Black women, we just didn't have another choice. It's who we had to be. Society did not allow us to be any other way. But at what cost? We're expected to be strong. And then when we're strong, we're labeled angry, and that was the thing that was kind of upsetting to me. And, it's like you're expected to be strong, expected to be this way and tough. But then when you're that way, you're labeled difficult or, heaven forbids the B word and things like that. And you're labeled as angry. And I think the way we are going to fix this, we have to change our perception of the word strong. We have to change what strong means. Strong doesn't mean that you don't have any feelings and you don't react when somebody hurts you. It doesn't mean that you never cry. It doesn't mean that you don't ask for help. It doesn't mean that you're always, you have to put everybody's needs ahead of yours. Strong means knowing your worth and value, but also knowing your boundaries, crying if you have to, saying no if you have to, and walking away from things that doesn't serve you. You're gonna fail, you're gonna mess up, you're gonna do all of it. And you're still strong. You're gonna get up and try again. And if you say, hey, this is not for me, then this is not for me. It is not a sign of weakness. We have to redefine the way we think about strong. And I am proud to be a strong Black woman. But as a strong Black woman, I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna mess up. I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm gonna fall. I'm gonna have missteps. I'm gonna laugh at myself. I'm gonna fail. And it's okay. Doesn't make me less than. To me, strong Black woman is whatever you want it to be. And let me address this. Mental health among Black women, because we've had to deal with so much, the microaggressions, the face, and this is something that I get a lot. And, I've said it before, I do not take it as a compliment. When someone hears me speak, they say, you're so articulate, as if I wasn't meant to be articulate. I don't think that's a compliment because my counterparts don't get that. You know what I'm saying? If they say something, it's nice speech, and I'm proud of the way I speak. I absolutely am. But I just think that we have to really look at the way we give compliments and the things that we say. And everybody looks at the world through different glasses. Your experience is your experience, and the way you are is based on your experiences, but don't negate what someone is going through. One of the most challenging things for me is when I'm talking to someone, I'm talking to them about my experience, and they're saying something like, well, yeah, I'm not racist. I did not call you racist. I am just explaining to you what my experience is like. And you're telling me, oh, this person's not racist, or that wasn't racist, or you misunderstood. Yes, I could have misunderstood. But you need to listen to what I am saying about my experience, because No two people are the same, and everybody's experience is going to be different. It's as simple as that. So I have had so many different experiences. I have worked with people from so many different cultures. And I got to tell you, I try to be mindful because we all have blind spots. We all have blind spots. And as a Black woman, I'm expected to be a certain way. I am judged harshly at times for some things. The way I react to some things, some might think it's an overreaction, it's dramatic, it's loud. I'm just saying, be mindful of things that you say to people. And over the years, I have learned to just let it go. And the past couple of months, ever since 2020 and, George Floyd and all of that, and that whole racial uprising, I've had some different conversations. And the funny thing is that I find that folks just really want to avoid the conversations. They just don't want to have it. They deflect, they change the subject, and they'll say things like, oh yeah, I don't talk about things like that. But it's the very essence of who I am. It's what's happening right now. And saying that you don't want to talk about it, because I think so many people are just talking about it and focusing on it. It's saying you don't care enough to have the conversation. Have the conversation. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be uncomfortable. Actually, there was an episode of Grownish, and yes, I love Grownish, and I think I've mentioned it maybe in season 2 before, and it's a great show, just like Blackish. It's on ABC. I think actually Grownish is on an ABC Family, but I do watch it on Hulu. It was a great episode where these roommates, Yara Shahidi and Chloe Bailey, and their roommate, they were talking about, and they're African American, and the young lady is Jewish, and they were just talking about the different experience. And it was such a great episode. I'm not going to spoil it, but I encourage you. And even though there was humor in it, it was a great episode because it really touched on how to have the tough conversation and just seeing yourself and how you react to the tough conversation. That's it. But anyway, so let's redefine the way we see strong Black women. Let's redefine the way we see each other. Let's be okay with having these tough conversations. I look at women like Sandra Fulton, who is the mother of Trayvon Martin, and, and all these other Black women who have had to carve out a life for themselves after facing the unfathomable in a very, very public forum. They've lost their kids to violence and, from the police or, racism and things like that. Women whose grief was on display for the entire world to see. And to see these women turn this grief into something that honored their, the life of their child or their loved one. And, I can see that they're strong. But, the beautiful thing is, I could see their pain and their grief. They were hurted. At one point it looked like they were broken, but they rose up like phoenix from the ashes. And not once did I think these ladies were weak for showing emotion. They came off as mothers. Society forces this on us, but we have to reject it. We have to redefine it, and we have to recognize that there are more than one ways to be strong. Crying is not a sign of weakness. Taking care of your health physically is not a sign of weakness. Taking care of your mental health is not a sign of weakness. Recognizing that you need help is not a sign of weakness. Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. Seeking professional help is not a sign of weakness. Failure is not a sign of weakness. Walking away from toxic situation is not a sign of weakness. Letting go of people is not a sign of weakness. As a matter of fact, you get to define what being a strong Black woman means. And if that means crying, if that means failing, if that means going to therapy, if that means whatever you want it to be, you get to define it. Life is short. People are dying left and right. And I know that we live in a very highly visible society. And a lot of us are on social media and we're being judged every day. And we're comparing ourselves to others. But if I could just encourage you a little, there is absolutely no one like you. No one else has had your experience. They cannot tell you how to react. React how you have to react. Cry, grieve, mourn, do what you've got to do, but take care of you. So yes, I will wear the strong Black woman badge with honor, but I am defining what it means to me. So I will cry. I will fail. I will go after my dreams. I will be coordinated with my husband and my kids. I will share what I want to share. I will take care of my physical health, my mental health, my emotional health, my spiritual health, and my financial health. I am going to do everything in my power to be okay. And that is what I want for you. I want you to define what it is to you to be a strong Black woman. Nobody else opinion matters in this instance but your own. I want this for you. I want you to be healthy. I want you to do what is best for you. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Sit Down with Suzanne podcast. I am rooting for you. I'm going to ask if you could please follow me on social media under Positively Suzanne. Then I'm going to ask you wherever you get your podcast, whether you get it on Spotify, iHeart, Google, Amazon Music, or Apple, please go ahead and subscribe to the podcast so that you can get notified every time there's a new episode. Also, you can look at the bottom of the podcast. You can follow along and buy me a coffee. I don't do tea. So a coffee, I don't do coffee. I only do tea. So buy me a tea, although it's called Buy Me a Coffee. So subscribe, share, write a review, send your feedback. As always, this is Suzanne wishing you the best, letting you know that I am rooting for you. You have got this.